on my to-do list is to get control of runaway pension costs. We're draining money out of services and pouring it into retirement costs, and we have to get control over it. We have to reduce the cost because nobody can afford these extremely expensive benefits that we've locked ourselves into. The city can't afford it, the employees can't afford it, and we're just draining money from services to you and your residents and putting it into retirement costs. So 10 years ago, the city of San Jose spent $73 million for retirement costs. Today, this year, $245 million in retirement costs. Those aren't projections, those are the real numbers. And the retirement boards are projecting that the numbers are going to go up for another 10 years or so. So we are trying to avoid a disaster by getting control over this. We have a ballot measure that will be in front of the voters in June to bring down retirement costs and get some control so that we can restore services. But I'm optimistic that fiscal reforms the city has put into place, and this ballot measure is part of that, will allow us to turn the corner this year. So this is an optimistic year for me. I think we're going to turn the corner and begin to restore services. Not that the services a year ago were anything to brag about, but that's our sort of our first term objective is to get to the services to where they were a year ago and then beyond that. But we have to get control of these costs, otherwise we will not be able to restore services. So that's my number one priority for the year.
It's all about growing economic opportunities and growth. We have the same similar situation where we have to balance our budget and we have to look at what our liabilities and assets are. And for the first year, we've been able to actually put some money back into our reserves and not use reserves in order to balance our budget, and we're living within our means. So we've had a lot of difficult decisions to make, but the reality of it is Santa Clara has never looked at cutting our way out of our problem because we need to grow our way out of our problem. And so we've been really focused on economic development. And that's why you'll see things like Dell computers coming in. We chug the water all the time trying to get businesses in because the reality is that we can't provide the services, we can't maintain the quality of life without the businesses coming in. And of course, without the businesses coming in, then you don't have people to rent your apartments. So we want to make sure that we have a quality environment, but we also make sure we want to continue to attract and retain business. And we are doing that by having 5 council goals. All 5 of our council goals are around economic development. It's not about new regulation, not about advocacy for any particular issue. I won't make judgments on some of the issues that have come up recently, but the fact of it is that bad economic times, it's a real risk to everyone, because it's really easy to get focused and fixated on the special interest groups to try to get you to pass legislation so that you can have your political hieroglyph to show you've done something because you're not cutting ribbons and doing openings. Everyone wants to feel like their time was well spent in political office. But it's really important to resist the temptation to add additional regulations so you say that you've done something in order to feather your political ambitions for next elected office. It's not good for it's not good for the economic environment. It's really not good long term for the city. Santa Clara is a low-cost city for the 10th year in a row. We've been considered to be the lowest-cost city here in the valley. The reason is obviously because we own our electric municipal utility and we keep our rates low. But beyond that, it's also the attitude of Santa Clara. Within 24 hours, you can get an inspection and you can get entitled. In fact, Dell Computers from Michael Dell inquiring about the old Palm site to the time that they took down 240,000 square feet of it was 30 days. And there's a reason for that. We have a total and complete focus on being strategic support for business, not being the ones that try to create business, not the ones that try to shape business. And that's why we have, of course, one of 32 cities in the nation. We have the NFL coming here to Santa Clara. We are very excited about that. It's obviously the biggest of our projects, the most high profile of our projects. But I'm just excited about the 12 million square feet of entitled space that we have in the developments that are going on. 3 million square feet alone, of course, is Yahoo. And so we see the ebb and flow, which is the brilliance of Silicon Valley. But Santa Clara is committed and poised and ready to support, be the strategic support to ensure that people that want to continue to make their investments in Silicon Valley have an easy time doing it. We want to get out of your way. We want to be partners with you, but we want to be a step behind you to make sure we're picking up where you need us to pick up, and not in front of you to keep you from moving at the speed of business.
As Mayor Reed was talking about public safety retirement, I'm one of those annuitants currently. I'm one of the guys who ended up with the system of public safety retirement. So, I did, when I was the sheriff, the deputies union came to me and they wanted to do what others had done, which was called the 3 of 50, and essentially meet that age of 50 years of age. If they had 30 years of service, they could go out at 90%. And I told them at the time, you're killing the golden goose. That it was way too rich of a system. When I started, it was what we called 2 of 50, and the top was 75%. But once all of those systems changed, they did it retroactively, so no one paid for it, neither the employees nor the employer, and as a consequence, we ended up with a huge unfunded liability. And we have the same problem that the city of San Jose does. It's not quite as bad. Our retirement cost for all of our employees, about 5,000 employees, is going to be $150 million this year. So we also have that problem of how do we deal with those legacy costs? How do we deal with the unfunded liability? And we have done things like, one of the problems is that, like contract law, you cannot change. The only way you could really save money is if you get all of your current employees and have them going forward with newer systems. And unfortunately, we're told by our county council, but I guess not being an attorney, I believe them, and it says we cannot do that. For some reason, once an employee starts with a particular system or a retirement system, that's a contract that cannot be broken. You can only do it for new employees. So it's going to take us probably in the neighborhood of about 20 years, because that's how long it takes to turn over that workforce. Going into economic development, I come from a much different background from most people who are elected office. I wasn't in the city. I don't really, land use issues were really foreign to me. And I've been surprised at how vehement people are just in simple things like houses that the opposition, and actually in law enforcement, to be honest, I had very little controversy. It's either you get it or you don't, jail or no jail. In this, I was surprised. We had a deal the other day with just there was a house, and the neighbors were just did character assassination, not necessarily dead. We weren't talking about the project. They were talking about the property owner, that somehow he was greedy. And I had to tell people that property rights are really the basis of American jurisprudence, and so we did approve it. But in terms of economic development for us, my district is District 3, which is the California coast in San Mateo County. And we have an imbalance between jobs and houses. We have housing on the coast side, no jobs. So I really focused on a little area called Princeton Harbor. To me, it should be an area that is ripe for development. It's another area in our county. North Fair Oaks is another area that really should be ripe for economic development. I should say development. I don't mean houses. I mean in terms of we need to have more jobs over on the coast side so that our traffic situation is ameliorated. The other issue that I am working on is really streamlining the processes. So, for example, we have a company called BioCardia, and they have a medical device. And they are required by the federal government to have inspection by federal agencies. And so the federal government comes in, takes a lot of their time, inspects the whole process. And guess what? The state of California does the exact same thing. So, why can't we have some streamlining processes and last of all for housing development? So again, I think we need to have a streamlined process for entitlements.
The most obvious thing in North San Jose are the apartments under construction. We have about 3,000 units, and another 3,000 following behind them and still in the permitting process. And those will help the jobs that are being created, because we've had great success with companies who, for some reason or other, didn't want to go to Santa Clara. I don't know why. We do occasionally get some companies in San Jose that have moved into San Jose, and it's all driven, of course, by the economy, local, state, and national. And so we are seeing more jobs being created, and that housing is just an indicator of where the folks with serious smart money see the economy going, because it's a 2-year construction process, basically. And Irvine Company took the lead, and there are others that are followed, because they see the fact that we're adding jobs as a good thing, and it will fill up those apartments. So the rental market, as you all know, is not great, but pretty good compared to previous years. But we have dozens of companies that have moved into North San Jose or expanded into North San Jose. And what we try to do is work at the speed of business. And we don't have a lot of money or incentives that we can give companies. In fact, we have even less now with the death of the redevelopment agencies. But working at the speed of business is something that we can do, because we can control our side of the equation. And one of the things that we know about Silicon Valley is these companies have to move quickly. Markets move quickly, they have to move quickly. If the cities cannot, then they'll go someplace else. So my number one priority is just to capture a fair share of the jobs that are being created right here in this valley. I don't do trade missions to foreign countries. I don't do trade missions to other states. I just go do trade missions to Santa Clara. Because these companies are creating jobs, and the question is, will they put them here, or will they put them in another state, or will they put them in another country? And as good as Jamie and Santa Clara is, we want to be better. And when we're better than them, they're going to be better than us, and we're going to leapfrog on the performance side because the jobs are being created. Companies are making money. I just read the story about Apple sitting on $100 billion. And my number one request for the federal government is to allow those companies to repatriate those funds so they can be spent in the United States, and a huge amount of that money would come here in the Santa Clara Valley. And so at the federal level, that could be very helpful. But at the local level, our number one objective, and I think Jamie described it very well, is to work at the speed of business, to facilitate the growth of these companies that are here. They want to stay here, they want to grow here, but it's a competitive market and we want to compete worldwide. So we have to be the best place in the world to start and grow a business. And I just need to be just a little bit better than Santa Clara, because Santa Clara is pretty good.
And Santa Fe is pretty good too, you know.
Well, if Santa Clara's stadium deal falls apart, we have a big site in Brisbane. So we can go there. Or how about the Oakland A's? But we actually hope we're going to be successful. One of the advantages of San Mateo County, frankly, is that we are kind of an anonymous county. Most people don't know who we are, what we are. So if I go to other parts of the country and they say, where are you from? I say San Mateo County. So what is that? Well, you ever heard of Santa Fe? Have you ever heard of Silicon Valley? You ever heard of San Francisco? We're right smack in the middle of it. So that actually is our major advantage. The fact that we are kind of we used to be considered a bedroom community, a suburban community. We are actually a number of Fortune 500 companies, from Genentech to Oracle to now Facebook, which is actually kind of amazing to me that it has any value whatsoever. But then again, I come from that pencil and paper generation, so if I did Facebook stuff and my kid knows it, but I don't. I sort of forgot what the question. What's that question?
What's your economic outlook for 2012?
I think we really benefit from the whole Bay Area. The fact that Santa Clara's doing well, San Jose's doing well, and this vibrant economy we have. We are part of course, Silicon Valley. We're sort of, I guess, the northern end of it. We also benefit from San Francisco. So I think our outlook is phenomenal. And some of the cities like Redwood City and San Mateo are doing lots of economic development in our downtown areas. One of the things that we need to do in our county is we have a shortage of affordable housing. So we really need to have that housing, because if our economy is going to continue to grow, we're going to have the workers that fuel our economy. So that's kind of our major impediment and major challenge is really providing that workforce housing, and of course linking up with our neighbors to the south and to the north, and having, as long as they're successful, we are going to be successful as well.
Our future's so bright you'll have to wear shades.
Well, we like your optimism.
Things are absolutely going amazing in Santa Clara. We have our challenges, and if the state would stop helping us, we'd do a lot better. We haven't had a lot of things come out of Sacramento that have happened that have been positive. The demise of redevelopment is a huge issue. I think that we're all coming to grips with what it really means. I mean, we all have our enforceable obligations. We all have our setting up our successor agencies. We're all trying to salvage, to the best of our ability, the projects that we have developed that drive the economy. I'd like to say, the state of California doesn't generate any jobs except for state employees. The money that we spent, if you don't believe that, go out to North San Jose, downtown San Jose, come out to Santa Clara, out on our north side where we have our arts, entertainment, culture, convention, now our sports venues, and see the power of redevelopment to generate jobs. And we're going to lose that engine. And so, I am very optimistic that we'll adapt and we'll find ways other ways to attract businesses and retain businesses. But they took a big tool out of our arsenal. And so I think that we're all going to have to, as this unwinds, we get new definitional things, legislation moves forward, that we're going to have to continue to be tremendous advocates on protecting those locally generated tax dollars to stay locally to do what it was intended to do, which was to create jobs. So I think that we'll have challenges moving forward. I think we're up for the challenges, and I think that we're well positioned because you can't duplicate what we have here. Chuck and I always like to say we have 300 days of sunshine, and we attract the best and brightest from the entire world. Where my people came with the Great Migration 1846 for opportunity, people are coming from all over the world today. So the best and the brightest continue to come here and renew Silicon Valley. They bring the ideas that drive our economy here and in the world. And just when the world tries to copy what we're doing, or some other state tries to claim the fame, calling themselves Silicon Valley, the next wave of people come in here to drive the world's economy. So we're never going to be displaced as the innovation center of the entire world. And so I feel optimistic about not just Santa Clara, not just San Mateo, and San Jose, but all of Silicon Valley and the surrounding region. California is moving its way up. If we could have the legislature work part-time, if we could have them stop trying to pass legislation that they think will help us, if they would allow us to control more of our destiny and be accountable to local level, where our neighbors can come over and say they don't like what we're doing, they can vote us out of office, they can hold us accountable, we'd be much better off, because accountability best happens at the local level. So give us the tools, get out of our way, and let us do what we do best.
For some sustained growth, not at great rates like we've seen in the past, modest growth. We added 25,000 jobs in the county over the last year. We're not even back where we were before the market went bust in 2008, and we weren't even back to where we were in 2000. So we have a long ways to go before we're moving at a high rate of speed. But I think good, solid, steady growth. Of course, subject to whatever happens in Europe will affect the national economy, because the national economy can drag us down. But we're seeing sales taxes improving. We're hopeful. I'm hoping Laurie Stone is going to see property taxes improving. You'll hear from him in a few minutes. Some modest improvements in revenues, some modest improvements in the economy, but up is so much better than down. A year ago, flat was the new up, and now we're back to actually some positive increases. So I think we'll see that continue through the rest of the year.
The three of you touched on